Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here today to another edition of NASCAR Thunder 2004 on the channel, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as we get set for this one here today. Race 7 of 36 for this custom schedule season as well, around this mile-and-a-half tri-oval, the UAW Daimler Chrysler 400. About to get things started here today. Kevin Kasem 18, Sidney Duncan, Brandon Garcia Vera. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Just tuning in here for this one. Got a fast car starting from the pole for just the second time this season. So we'll see where things will go from here.
NASCAR Winston Cup Racing has hit the jackpot this week as we come to Las Vegas Motor Speedway for today's UAW Daimler Chrysler 400. What are your thoughts on this race?
I think we'll see lots of green flag racing in this one. The track is wide and smooth, and there are multiple grooves to work with here. Sometimes the cars can get very spread out on this one.
The 16 car is one of those guys that knows how to get along with the other drivers on the track.
You can tell that's been something he's really been working on recently. Respect on the racetrack doesn't just happen all of a sudden. It's something you need to put some effort into.
Jimmie Johnson made his first 3 Winston Cup starts in 2001. In that same season, he scored his first victory in the NASCAR Busch Series and has been turning some heads ever since. In 2002, he was offered a full-time ride in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series by a partnership deal that involved Jeff Gordon as a car owner. I can't think of anyone I'd rather drive for. Top-notch experience and great equipment to go along with it. Kevin Grubb hasn't had a good start to the weekend.
Yep, he was due for one of these bad starts, though. Nobody can start up front all year. You're going to have a bad qualifying now and then.
Engines are fired here today at Las Vegas. Take you through the starting lineup for today's race. Some interesting stories coming into this one, especially how the last few races have shaped up. Still early in the season, of course. The front row, again, making a second pole of the season. Greg Biffle, 3 wins in a row coming into play today. Jeff Gordon outside pole in second. He also has 1 win already this season as well. Biffle will be trying to go for 4 in a row. Dale Jr., Sterling Marlin, will make up row number 2. And row number 3, it'll be Michael Waltrip, Dale Jarrett. A couple of Roush Fenway Fords sitting back in row number 4. Kurt Busch, who had a great run at Talladega, and Matt Kenseth outside of him. Back in row number 5, we've got Ricky Rudd and Ricky Craven. Ricky Craven's had a lot of good qualifying efforts this year. Been fast on the super speedways. We'll see if that'll translate to the intermediate racetrack today. Mark Martin, Bobby Labonte will make up row number 6. Mark Martin, another driver with a win this season. A lot better qualifying effort than what he had at Talladega. Hermie Sadler and Ryan Newman, the points leader coming into today's race, will be in row number 7. Jeremy Mayfield, Ward Burton, sitting back in row number 8 for the start of today's race. Back in row 9, it's going to be Elliott Sadler and Bill Elliott. Row number 10 will be Tony Stewart and Joe Nemechek. And for Tony Stewart, he's off to kind of a rough start this season. He is in the top 10 in points, but not as good of a running as you would think out of Tony Stewart for the early going of the season. Jimmie Johnson, Brett Bodine making up row number 11. And row 13, rookie Jamie McMurray. Outside of him, Daytona 500 winner Kevin Harvick. Jerry Nadeau, Steve Park will make up row 14 for today's race. Back in row 15, we've got Kyle Petty, David Green. Johnny Benson, Robbie Gordon making up row 16 for today's race. Behind them, we've got Terry Labonte and Jeff Burton in row 17. Mike Skinner, Christian Fittipaldi making up row 18. Fittipaldi in an incident at Talladega. A couple of them almost caused the big one in that race. Kevin Grubb, Jeff Green will make up row 19. Back in row 20, we've got Casey Mears and Rusty Wallace. Rusty Wallace, another poor qualifying effort this year, started way in the back. Stanton Barrett, Kenny Wallace make up row 21. And all by himself, last but not least, in row 22, it'll be the rookie Jack Sprague. So here we go. Getting ready for this one. 267 laps, 400 miles at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We're underway for another race for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Look at Jeff Gordon with an amazing restart. Oh, Junior! A little contact there with Biffle as he comes down the track. Biffle kind of got tight. Missed the braking zone into turn 1. We almost had a crash on the opening lap. And the pole sitter just lost a ton of spots. Now he's really loose getting into turn 3. And stuck on the outside on this very flat 1.5-mile track. Not a lot of room underneath him. Matt Kenseth is there now. There's just nowhere to go. 3 wide and stuck on the outside. You see Dale Jr., who started in 4th place, also kind of faded back after that contact with Biffle, but that could have been a lot uglier than what it was. Biffle's just stuck on the outside. It is a fight for the bottom around this racetrack. Sage Castillo, welcome to the stream. Couldn't have asked for a rougher start after starting on the pole. Gordon led that opening lap of the race. Biffle trying to fight for the bottom. Finally going to get down there, but it took until falling back to 14th, and now they're 4 wide down the back straightaway. Down to 3 wide by the time they get into turn 3. Biffle drives it in too deep into the side of the 12 and bouncing up into Jeremy Mayfield. A rough start to this one here today, and stuck back on the outside again is Greg Biffle. Almost got in the wall there. Car's really loose right now. In the gray, not a lot of room there. Hermie Sadler. Biffle got hooked right on his right rear that time. This is a very rough going for the opening couple laps after starting on the pole. Biffle trying to go for 4 wins in a row. Here today, he's sitting 5th in the point standings. Still a little over 130 points back from the points leader, Ryan Newman, but he is looking for a good day today. He knows he's got the speed. The car was trimmed out in qualifying, but obviously losing track position early on in a track position kind of a racetrack. The older configuration of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Of course, the one we're used to now has the progressive banking. It's a lot bumpier. This one, not as bumpy, but it's really flat. One of the flatter 1.5 miles on the circuit back in 2003. Ooh, almost some contact between Biffle and Sadler. Wow. Big power slide now going into turns 3 and 4. One thing I noticed in practice and qualifying, no matter what setup I seemed to go with, it felt like the race car was really loose going off into turn 3 if I got on the brakes a little too hard. He's kind of starting to do that in turn 1 all of a sudden. Didn't really have a problem in turn 1 in practice. It was mainly turn 3. Sliding up into the 30 Steve Park now. Nice thing with coming off the super speedway, at least there's a lot of allies on the racetrack for Greg Biffle that he was able to work with. Working his way from the back of the field to the front at Talladega and vice versa. Drafting with some lap cars at times when there was lap traffic to try and pull away from the rest of the pack. And Steve Park's trying to cross him back over. Biffle gets the drive off the exit of the corner. He's able to hold on to the 15th position on the racetrack. Joshua White, welcome to the stream. Yeah, no, the week's almost over. Got the Truck Series Championship tomorrow, Xfinity Series Championship Saturday. Cup racing on Sunday. So Biffle's got the speed, but again, the lack of track position is really going to be so crucial in the early going of this race. Again, not sure exactly how far we can go on fuel at this racetrack. Have not raced here, of course. It's the only race at Las Vegas on the season. Big wiggle. Center of the corner. Biffle's trying to run down Tony Stewart. Biffle going all the way down to the apron now to try and get around Tony Stewart. Big shortcut. He's going to get under him. Oh, man, he almost slid into him going into the corner. That's the problem with going down to the apron through the tri-oval. It makes for such an awkward angle into turn one. Biffle still completes the pass. Loose on corner exit there, too. Loose is fast if he can hang on to it. Biffle couldn't get the car to turn down the track that time. Tony Stewart now trying to cross him back over for that 14th position. And Biffle's now stuck on the outside. Drag race at the line. Tony Stewart is not giving him a lot of room, kind of pinching him up there. Biffle diving low off the exit. Not going to be able to cross him back over, at least yet. We'll see if he gets a run off at turn two. The battle continues for the position here. Biffle going to try to outbrake Tony Stewart, but he just slides, driving it in too deep. He's really got to back the corners up, otherwise the car just slides too much, and he almost got the wall off in turn four again. This car's even loose down the front straightaway here, the front stretch. It's a handful. We're starting to lose ground to Tony Stewart. It's all about where you're at the end of the race. Obviously, if you can get some bonus points along the way, that'd be huge. Biffle coming off a race at Talladega, and once you led over 100 laps, was able to get the most laps led, getting 10 bonus points. Just by leading one, you get 5. It's Winston Cup points format. Biffle's starting to lose ground all of a sudden here as this run is carrying on. At least from Tony Stewart. Really good getting into the corner that time. Sparks flying from underneath the Bobby Labonte's car. Seemed like he bottomed out a little bit there. On the brakes so much at this racetrack. Probably the most braking you're going to see on any intermediate racetrack in the season. Already 18 laps in. Longest I ran was 14 laps on a full run in practice. So no clue how the car is going to handle as the run carries really deep. We get these long green flag runs like we've seen for the most part this season. We have had a couple races where it's been caution free, Biffle couldn't hold the corner. He had to lift. Otherwise, he would have ended up right in the back of Labonte. He's cutting it all the way to the inside again. Might be another awkward angle into the corner. On the brakes hard. Still not able to complete the pass as Labonte looks like he's going to get right around Kurt Busch. Biffle trying to back up turns 3 and 4. Dive back underneath Tony Stewart on corner exit. Working on Kurt Busch. So treacherous going into these corners side by side with how loose the 16 car is, but he will make the pass on his teammate Kurt Busch, and now Tony Stewart looking to follow through as well. Just trying so hard to keep it off of these guys. Those of you that are familiar with this game or even this season, you know how easy it is to get rivals in this game. Especially if they're already neutral with you. Least amount of contact you can make, the better. Biffle's starting to make passes, starting to work his way back through the traffic again. Slowly but surely. Working his way right around Ward Burton into the top 10. Oh, man. A lot of ground lost there. He was right on the back bumper of Dale Jr. all of a sudden after getting really loose there. Lost quite a bit of ground. How much is Biffle wearing those tires out? Not only by getting loose in the corner, but by cutting the apron down as much as he is. Through the tri-oval. And all the way down there where there's little to no rubber. But he's trying to make up that ground he lost at the very beginning of the race more than anything else right now. And that's why he keeps going down there. Oh, in the wall off of turn 2. He definitely pushed tight that time. I'm trying to block Tony Stewart in the center of turns 3 and 4. So Biffle's now over 5 seconds off the race lead. Despite being in that 10th position, the top 2 or 3 cars have just really pulled away from everybody else. Kind of a big glob of cars from about 3rd or 4th on back through 10th. Even Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte, Kurt Busch, again, not that far, even behind where Biffle and Dale Jr. are side by side for 9th off of turn 4. Biffle trying to take the run down to the inside of Ricky Rudd. We're positioned there as well. They almost made contact in the tri-oval. Biffle trying to stay in the draft. Now he about got hooked on the 21. Get on by him. Biffle makes the move down to the bottom. Underneath Ryan Newman. Oh boy. Still a clean pass off of turn 2. He pushed tight right up the track, but at least he cleared him in the process. Matt Kenseth, Sterling Marlin side by side now for 6th place. 5th rather. Kenseth will complete the pass. Oh, Newman in the wall off of turn 4. He bounced right into Dale Jr. That slows both cars up. Newman really pushed tight. A lot worse than when Biffle got into the wall off of turn 2 earlier. Marlin now trying to get back around Kenseth for 5th. Greg Biffle working right behind both of them, diving all the way to the bottom. 3 wide going into turn 1. Kenseth now laying back maybe a little bit. Biffle clears both Marlin and Kenseth off the exit of the corner. Ricky Craven having a great run. Finishing top 10 at Talladega. Going for 3rd place all of a sudden now on Mark Martin. Gigantic run for Biffle right behind him, the 3 wide. For 3rd place. Going into turn 3, Biffle gets loose, washes up into Ricky Craven. Lost a little ground on both of them. Craven still slipped by Martin despite the contact that he had from Biffle. On the inside, Biffle going at Martin again, trying to get around him. Craven leaves a little bit of the bottom open. Biffle pushed up the track, had to lift slightly, still gets back in. He kind of crowded Craven a little bit. Craven let him go. I think being allies kind of helped out there for Biffle. That's where it helps as well in this game. They seem to give you just a little bit more room. Unlike any of the other drivers, and Biffle really had to lift there. Martin trying to get right back around Ricky Craven for 4th. They both have a run on Biffle once again. Just over 30 laps in. Leaders are going to catch lap traffic here before long. Jeff Gordon, who has led every lap since the start of the race, out in front here with only being a 400-mile race. And back in 2003, there were a lot more 500-mile races than what you see nowadays. But with it being a shorter race and him leading already over 30 laps, he gets near that 100-lap mark. It's going to be hard for, say, Biffle, if he can get back up there to try and lead the most laps by the end of the race. Biffle's catching up over the course of the run. I'm not sure if it's just the long run speed or if it's just Greg Biffle, finally getting out of the traffic. Gordon's still got a little bit of clean air. He's got a lap car not too far in front of him. And a lot more space after that first lap car as well. Not too many drivers in NASCAR history have won 4 races in a row. Greg Biffle trying to accomplish that feat here today. Won his first career race and first race of the season at Michigan. Follow that up with a win on a 1.5 miles. Or sorry, no, I had a brain fart where that second win was at there for a little bit. So he won at Michigan, first career win there, dramatic fashion. Then he won the Food City 500 at Bristol, had to lift there, almost got in the wall. And then obviously the Aaron's 499 at Talladega in the last race, he got the win there as well. Michael Waltrip off to a good start today too, running in 2nd place. Gordon's been stuck behind a lap car for a little bit here. Still can't get around that first lap car. With him struggling mightily, it's allowing Michael Waltrip and Greg Biffle to kind of close that gap a little bit more. .2.1 now. Gordon did get around that lap car finally that last lap. Now Biffle's working on Michael Waltrip for position. Waltrip took a lot wider arc into the corner. It seemed like it helped him in the center. For sure, Biffle had the lift coming out. Diving all the way to the apron now on the inside. Getting right back underneath Michael Waltrip now, going into turn 1. He stays under him. Barely completes the pass now, has to get out of the gas. Waltrip couldn't cross him over, though. Great slide job there by Biffle to move up to second place. Lap traffic now in front of Biffle is Jack Sprague in the 0, and Sprague just blocked Biffle all the way near the wall. Now down to the inside. Biffle can't get around Sprague, and now he washes up the track, and Waltrip moves right back up to second place. Moves right underneath Sprague. Biffle was able to get back in the gas a lot quicker, though, by running that wider arc. Crossing over on Waltrip, able to get around Sprague as well, but now Biffle, after getting the position on second place, he has to get it right back. And he's going to clear him at the line there. 2.5 now behind Jeff Gordon for the lead. Biffle able to hold on in front of Waltrip. So that first lap car of Jack Sprague did not make it easy. Of course, was a tough out for Jeff Gordon, the race leader, even to get by, and that's why Biffle and Waltrip were able to close the gap within 1.5 seconds. Might have struggled around Kevin Grubb as well. Biffle did not. Easily slides under him there. So Gordon's led every lap up to this point. Should be able to go right around 60 laps on fuel here today for a full tank. Biffle is running down Jeff Gordon. All the way down to the apron. Gordon still leads the lap, but Biffle now side by side into turn 1, trying to outbrake Gordon. Slides up in front of him. Barely cleared him, but Greg Biffle now taking the lead. Despite starting on the pole, has not led a lap yet. Lap traffic paying off huge dividends for Biffle in the early going, and now he's about to lead his first lap at lap 45 at the line. Finally, and he'll receive 5 bonus points. Every time you see those rear tires start to slide so much that you see the smoke coming out of the back of the car, Biffle just immediately rolls out of the gas, tries to let the car sit. Don't want to hit the brakes in that situation. That's just going to turn the race car right around. So on edge, almost 50 laps into the run especially. There's a rival, Brett Bodine, right around Biffle, but he's not angry enough to get back into Biffle. He barely clears both Mike Skinner and Brett Bodine there. 2-second lead at the line. BMNJ, welcome to the stream. Biffle going to stretch this fuel window out as long as he can before coming to pit road for that first time today. See if Jeff Gordon might try to short pit, perhaps. So I practiced hitting pit road once, and I took the excess road, and it was very difficult. I was getting really loose, so I don't know whether to take the excess road again or to come off of turn 4. But if I come off of turn 4, I don't know how much I'm going to have to slow it down. I don't want to spin the car out either. Bunch everybody back up again and give up the 2-second lead, so we'll see. Green flag pit stops probably within 10 laps away, I would have to assume, at least from starting at this point. David Green now trying to block Greg Biffle. Green also trying to make a pass though on Kenny Wallace, it looks like. Biffle going to try to cross them both over. They almost got into each other. Green tried to slide up in front of Wallace. He didn't quite have him cleared. Now he does going into turn 3. So again, green flag pit stops coming up very soon. Biffle out to, actually, it's almost a 4.5-second lead all of a sudden. Now on the 24 of Gordon. A lot more clean air, a lot more open space of having Greg Biffle here. He's opening up that gap behind him. Oh man, really loose moment there. Down to the gas going into turn 3. And these tires are getting pretty worn out. Now over a 5.5-second lead here, and almost, again, makes you wonder if Jeff Gordon might try to short pit to cut back into that gap as much as he can. We know we're going to stay out as long as possible here. Biffle's going to stay out as long as he possibly can. So we know exactly how far the fuel window can be stretched if it comes down to it late in the race. Should be able to go another handful of laps, roughly. Still working his way through the lap traffic. Again, hasn't led a lot of laps today, only about 14 laps. Gordon led the first 43 laps of the race. Ooh, boy. Almost a 7-second lead now. Colt 48, welcome to the stream. We've led every lap from lap 45 to now, so at the line, or I should say 44 technically, because we led coming to lap 45. And Jeff Gordon led the first 43 laps of the race. Those are the only two leaders so far. Goes to show how quickly Greg Biffle's widened out this lead. No, I'm not gonna pause it to check. Usually don't like pausing the game, especially to check that. Keep the guessing game on, but yeah, we've only. I mean, if we lead to lap 63 here, it'll be 20 laps even that we've led. Day's going by pretty good today, Kevin. Already starting to reel into that 200 lap to go marker. So Biffle's going to stay out of the pits one more lap. Likely come to pit road this next time by. Robbie Gordon now trying to block. It seems like he's been a very tough lap car to pass in this game. I'm not exactly sure why. Biffle's on the outside here. Get to the access road. Biffle's going to stay out one more lap. Wanted to pit that time, really trying to get around Robbie Gordon. Now he works to the inside. So green flag pit stops are going to be starting this time by. A lot of the leaders coming to pit road. Biffle down the backstretch. Pulls to the inside, going to use that access road now, going into turn 3. Oh, man. Kind of works as a shortcut, but the car is really loose down here, and Biffle's in the wall. How difficult this pit road is to get onto. And now he's got to pit under caution. That was not pretty. That was a failed experiment there. We didn't have that much of an issue in practice, but at the same time, too, we didn't have that old of tires when we had to pit in practice versus in the race. About 64 laps into the run. It's an ugly way to get to pit road there, and that's going to give the lead to whoever pitted the first time by. You see all those guys staying out. They likely all came to pit road the lap prior to Greg Biffle. Yeah, this is not looking good here. Biffle's going to restart in 17th, so the top 16 stay out of the pits. All that track position he had gained is now lost. Yeah, back to green. All the lap cars up at the front as well. On the inside lane. They make for a very interesting restart. Big wiggle there. The car's been loose. No adjustment though. It kind of works itself out the longer run on speed. Doesn't really get that much more loose over the course of the run. It does a little bit. Want to enter into the corner that low. Driving underneath Casey Mears. Old check up there. If we're going to work to the inside of Jeff Green now. They are 3 wide through the tri-oval. Right in front of the 16 at Biffle. Ward Burton making moves on the bottom of the racetrack. Biffle now 3 wide on corner exit. Ken Schrader. Rookie Jack Sprague all the way on the outside. Just a mixture of these fast lead lap cars trying to get around the lap cars. You're seeing a lot of 3 wide action on the restart. Benson. 3 wide underneath David Green, Kyle Petty. Biffle trying to follow all the way to the apron now. He couldn't clear anybody down there, and now Kyle Petty crowds him going into turn 1. Remember, the initial start of the race when Biffle started on pole, he fell back to about 15th place before starting to work his way back up. He restarted 17th here, but we don't know exactly who some of the drivers were that came to pit road and who stayed out. Again, kind of a split strategy there, but everybody's pretty much on the same strategy with that first caution of the race at lap 64. In fact, more drivers actually were able to get their lap back because of that. Nobody went a lap down because we weren't a full lap into the green flag pit stop cycling. So everybody that pitted kind of bailed themselves out. They got the restart ahead of everybody else. Very tight backstretch here with this old configuration. Las Vegas, very, very wide front stretch. And the corners, honestly, although they're pretty much single groove with how flat it is pretty wide. Kind of a good runoff area for this game if you have to get out of the gas late or get back into it a little too soon, something of that nature. A little bit more forgiving. Oh boy! Some contact between the two Roush Fenway teammates down the backstretch. Biffle wanted to get around him, but not like that. Just kind of easily got hooked together. Biffle got right on that left rear corner panel, made a little contact, but he's in the top 10 now, once again. And only about 20 laps led here today. Very, very light scrape off the exit of turn 4 as well. Biffle came up a little too high. Does look like we have one driver out of the race. It might have blown an engine. Never saw exactly who it might have been. Steve Park trying to block for ninth. Same time trying to get underneath Ward Burton, but Biffle now moves underneath Steve Park for position. Burton kind of checked him up, and Burton just cuts off the front of Greg Biffle's car. Biffle slides it into the corner, trying to stay underneath him. Right on that left rear corner panel, hanging in there. See if he can get that straightaway speed in the draft now. Bill Elliott, and he'll clear Ward Burton before they even get into turn one. So up to 8th now for the 16 car. A lot better restart this last time than what he had on that initial start. He was back far enough that it was single file where he was at as well. I'm sure that helped versus the double file initial start of the race where things were a lot tighter. Bill Elliott now trying to block and hold on to 7. Boy, Bill really drove it in there deep as well. Got Ricky Craven in the 21 just up ahead. Tony Stewart is starting to close into the back bumper of the 16 of Biffle. Seems like Stewart's getting a little bit faster as the race carries on. He's in the top 10. He was running right around 15th with Biffle at the very beginning of the race. He's about where he qualified. Loose moment there. Stewart gaining a little bit more ground again. Biffle, though, in the draft. Can't quite get his way underneath of the 9 of Elliott. We'll get to the inside of Ricky Rudd, taking it all the way down low. Actually got a lot of grip down there, believe it or not. Now he keeps underneath the 9 of Elliott for 6th. Got the bumper out in front going into turn 3. Just trying to hang on to the race car, and he'll clear him on corner exit. Rusty Wallace. That pit strategy played into his effect perfectly. Remember, he started all the way back at 40th, and he's already in 5th place. Less than 100 laps into the race nonetheless. People trying to get around him now for 5th. Jeff Gordon is in 4th. He lost track position on that last restart, trying to gain it back as much as he can here. Gordon trying to go for 3rd. Gordon was right there for 3rd for a moment, then he just kind of faded back. Now the 3rd place car. I think it might be Dale Jr. up there is starting to catch up to 2nd. Second place car currently is Sterling Marlin. They are side by side for 2nd. It is Dale Jr. in the 8. Full closing in on Gordon. A little hiccup there, costing him a chance to maybe get the needed momentum to try and get to the inside of Gordon into turn 3. Now he's not close enough. Gordon runs a little wide. The opportunity, Biffle peeks in there anyway. Now they're side by side for 4th. Biffle on the bottom, Gordon on the top. Sterling Marlin starting to fade back as Dale Jr. has moved up to 2nd. Not sure who the race leader is right now. Remember, Michael Waltrip was in second for a little bit at the beginning of the race, so maybe the DEI cars are running 1-2 now. Marlin giving Biffle a lot of bottom. Started to, then crowded him at the last second, but it was too late. Biffle's already there. They'll get around Marlin now for third. And it is Michael Waltrip leading the race, less than a second now ahead of Dale Jr. He's trying to run him down. Biffle, though, seems to be the fastest car on the track currently. It didn't take him as long to get going this run either. But he needs that. He's only led 19 laps today. Under green, that is. I guess he led a couple under caution there, too. But right around 20 laps led. Just chasing points. Biffle's going to have to make sure he sets up Dale Jr. perfectly here. Jr. kind of hugging that bottom lane. Doesn't want to give it up. Both cars hooked right to that white line. Biffle runs wide off the exit of the corner, trying to get Biffle to go above him, but Biffle's only faking to go high so he can eventually go low. They both got overrun turn one there. So gets back into the gas a little sooner. Junior kind of crowded him too. Side by side for second place. And the faster car is just going to move right around Dale Jr., at least at this point in the run. Greg Biffle worked his way back up to second, now trying to catch Michael Waltrip. Now, he got around Jeff Gordon earlier when Gordon was in the lead, but that was when Gordon was in lap traffic. So now we'll see. Biffle almost washed up into the wall off of turn 4 that time. About 3 car lengths behind him. It's definitely not much. Biffle has a run now off of turn 2. Waltrip going to try to protect the bottom, much like Dale Jr. did. Waltrip might have overran the corner. Biffle drives it in deep all the way to the apron. Wasn't a lot of grip. You saw the car sparking. He was kind of bottoming out down there. Biffle will lead the lap at the line. Oh, he kind of got hooked on the 15. Oh, he was still loose down the straightaway. Trying to catch the car into turn 1. And that's going to allow Junior to close the gap a little bit now. Biffle finally takes the lead off of turn 2. He did lead the lap, but once he got on him, he just kind of couldn't get off of him. And Walter just a little bit too far behind to catch Biffle in turns 3 and 4 there. So Biffle will pull back ahead and lead another lap. Now trying to walk away with the lead. Junior closing right up on Michael Waltrip. Waltrip kind of gave Junior the bottom through 1 and 2 there. Junior gains a little bit of ground trying to get up to second. Now with the caution laps ran there, whether everybody pitted or not, they would have only pitted a lap prior to that under green. It'll be interesting to see if these guys can actually make it close to the halfway mark before they have to pit for the second time today. I don't think they can make it that far, but if they can, you might be only looking at a 3 pit stop race today. Saw 64 lap run before Biffle was going to come to pit road before he wrecked trying to get onto pit road. Luckily, I didn't really take any speed out of it. Again, the schedule's only going to get harder as the season continues. Still early in the season right now, at a lot more of the drivable racetracks on this game. The custom schedule season, just to kind of get a feel for the game again before we get really in depth with it. Did have a tougher track at Bristol, but it just seems like the drivability, at least for the championship mode, career mode's a lot different. I have tried that already, but the not championship mode, but the season mode races, it seems like the higher banked racetracks are the tracks that I could handle a lot easier at. And this is probably the only flatter track I think I don't have a hard time with. We go to tracks like Martinsville, Rockingham. I mean, those are going to be races that it's going to be tough just to get to the end of the race. Darlington, New Hampshire. I mean, the list could go on from that point. So it is very, very key to get to the end of these races and try to win them and score max points if you can. Because once you get to those races, it's going to be tough. And for Biffle right now, he's 5th in points. He's on a hot streak. He's won 3 in a row coming in, but he's still 5th in points. He had a rough go in that 2nd and 3rd race of the season, DNFing at tracks probably shouldn't have DNF'd at. Sports Live BC, welcome to the stream, guys. Just over 100 laps complete at the line this time. Biffle's leading for the 2nd time today at Vegas. Got a couple road courses. Of course, the next race, we go to our first road course race of the season. We go to Watkins Glen. We actually take 2 trips to Watkins Glen this season. Of course, not as many road courses as what you would see next year, even this year, for instance. I don't have as many options in this game, so we go to Watkins Glen twice this season. The first trip will be on race 8 in the next one. Got a 2-second lead now for Greg Biffle. Lap traffic just up ahead. Tag there. Biffle closed in a lot quicker than what he thought he was going to on Stanton Barrett off of turn 4. Again, it almost doesn't seem to matter what lap car it is. They just race the heck out of you in this game. No matter what driver it is, how fast they might be going, how many laps down they are, like they just absolutely race the heck out of you. It is hard to pass at this track with how flat it is, but if you can get under them, you're in a good spot. It might take you a couple corners from that point to get around them, but you're typically in a good spot if you can just stay underneath the car. Start to go to these tighter and flatter racetracks, as I mentioned. It's going to be a lot harder to pass. Mike Skinner running the bottom, and so Biffle is going to try to go around the outside there. It just doesn't work at this racetrack. Now Mike Skinner's blocking. Biffle's under him. Got to brake early getting into turn 3. Knew it was going to slide. A little contact back up the track. And he couldn't get back around Skinner. Really struggled there. Now Mike Skinner's kind of giving him the bottom. Giving Biffle a little more room into turn 1. He's going to let him go. Got a little difficult there. He's past halfway through the fuel run. Start-finish line, we're going to alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. See how blinding that sun can be. Down the front stretch. Ooh. Kiss off the wall. Not going to hurt anything much. It's really starting to drift around and slide a lot more than what it might have been a little bit ago. Car's been relatively clean so far today. Yeah, you can see the tires wearing out more and more on the 16 of Biffle. If you thought the car looked like it was a handful before, it's even more so now. Very difficult job just trying not to overcorrect it, too. Ethan, welcome to the stream. Back in that in-car cam again, Biffle right underneath of Jack Sprague. Bandy drove it off really deep into turn one. Trying not to make contact. How easy it is to wash up the racetrack, especially after contact. Still got a decent drive off the corner to try and get to the inside of Kevin LePage now. Sadler left the bottom open. Easy for Biffle to get on by through turns 3 and 4. He'll clear him up off of turn 2. I meant to say 1 and 2, not 3 and 4. Pushed up the racetrack. Good thing he had him cleared. It was a little tight getting into the corner. Didn't drift at all. Just kind of does that from time to time, I guess. That time it rolled in perfectly. Oh boy. Saw the car almost start to turn right. That's when it gets really treacherous. Just fighting the race car. Even down the backstretch after bouncing off the wall, Biffle was fighting it there. Back it down way off the gas. Just to keep the car rolling, not spin the car out. Down to about the final quarter of a tank. So it's likely looking like it's going to be a 4 pit stop race today and not a 3 stop race. That final run, they could probably split it in half. See how badly the tires matter here. Biff almost got hooked on the wall off of turn 2. That time he hit it, and he couldn't get off of it. That was probably the hardest he's hit it today. It still wasn't that hard of a hit, but doesn't take much. That was probably the hardest hit he's had today. He's kind of pancaked it off of turn 4. That was not a good lap. Seems like Biffle's struggling over the course of this run compared to that opening fuel and tire run of the race. Dale Jr. is closing the gap. He is now only 1.5 seconds off the race lead. It was about 3.5 a few laps ago. But we are getting close to the pit window now. Biffle was out to about a 7-second lead earlier in the race. Though he did get to the lead a little bit quicker here. Maybe he used his tires up a little bit more earlier in the run as well. It's definitely possible getting to the lead literally about 15 to 20 laps sooner than what he did earlier. Oh man, Brett Bodine got ran up the track there by Jeff Green, and Biffle's able to get around both of them. Ideal situation there for Biffle. Junior must be caught in lap traffic right now because now the lead is out to about 3 seconds. Just a couple laps after the fact, it was 1.7, 3 laps to go at the line. So Biffle spun trying to make it to pit road last time, which brought out the opening caution of the race at lap 64. Going to try to make it without spinning this time. He took the access road the first time. I'm sure he won't take it this time. Problem is, again, in practice, got the pit road a lot easier. Tires weren't as worn. Biffle again trying to open that gap back up. Really starting to back his corners up a lot better now over the last handful of laps. And that has really gone back into him, pulling right back away again. A lot quicker than what he would have before, too. And Schrader leaving a lot of bottom open through 3 and 4. Biffle easily gets on by. See if Biffle might take his first green flag stop of the day today, or maybe we'll get another caution right before again. Who knows? I'm sure he's hoping it's not on him this time. I mean, he barely spun. I mean, barely touched the inside wall, too. He was probably about 20, 30 miles an hour when he hit it. So it didn't really knock any speed out of the race car, luckily. It's almost out to a 7-second lead again. So after all, it seems like at the end of both runs, he can pull out to about a 7-second lead. That's going to help him when everybody cycles through these pit stops here. So if they do start to run him back down, first half of the run, the short run. He might be able to hold on to the lead. Could be good for the laps led in this race. He's now led the most up to this point, but it wouldn't be by much over Jeff Gordon. We're almost halfway. Biffle would love to stretch it to that halfway mark right at lap 134. Or 133 even, but he is probably not going to make it that far. He should have about 2 more laps of fuel left. Oh, that was a huge slide. We caught Robbie Gordon at the end of the last run and barely got around him. Now he's got to get around him at the end of this run. So Robbie Gordon trying to stay on the lead lap. He ended up getting his lap back when Biffle wrecked trying to come to pit road, and now Gordon will go a lap down. A lot easier. Biffle got around him that time. Tim Irvin, welcome to the stream. Started this about 5:40-ish. Sadler not going to go a lap down. Sadler might have already been a lap down before. Largest lead of the race for Biffle. Over 9.5 seconds now. Really tight going into turn 1. Biffle's going to pit this time by 64 laps into the run. He's going to pit off at turn 4, not use the access road this time. But he has not done that at all. In practice, he used the access road. It was fine. In the race on old tires, not so fine. 70 miles an hour rather, to get to pit road for the pit road speed limit for every track in this game. 4 fresh tires, full tank of fuel. So a lot easier getting to pit road that time for Biffle. No spin there. We'll stay green. Yeah, I mean, normal would probably be the best way to go for tires on Heat 5. All the way around. It's a lot more difficult. Make you have to save it over the course of the run, too. A nice clean pit stop there. We will use the access road trying to get back up to speed. Get back onto the racetrack. A lot easier than trying to get onto pit road on the access road, it seems like. So we'll see where everything will cycle out. I'd have to assume Biffle will still have the lead. Everybody that pitted beforehand, it was only by a lap. That's not going to gain them 9 seconds if Dale Jr., say, came to pit road a lap early. We'll see if anybody can make it to that halfway mark before they end up hitting pit road. Still 9 cars on the track, of the leaders at least, that have not pit. It's lap 132. Race leader's still out there as well. And if they can make it to the halfway mark, they might be able to make it on one more stop, but you're likely looking at a 2-stop race for everybody pitting before that point. A couple more came down that last time. It's lap 134 for the race leader. So whoever's out in front, might be pushing a little too hard here. Probably feels like Superman on the fresh tires. Well, we're driving the corners just a little too much. And top 4 still staying out. They might be able to make it on one more stop. And one of those drivers is the points leader, Ryan Newman, who's now currently in 3rd. He hasn't really had a top 10 car today, but interesting situation there, to say the least. Lap 135. They're still out there. You can see how quickly Biffle's closing in on those guys, too. I hear you, Tim. Got to do what you got to do, man. I wish you the best of luck. Race leader now coming onto pit road. Stayed out a really long time. I mean, that puts them within a pretty good window to maybe make it on one stop. But how much time are they going to lose? So they're not going to gain that much by pitting just 5 to 6 laps after. They're really not going to have fresher tires at all. That could be the winning strategy. Sometimes you got to go off strategy to get a win when you don't have the most dominant car, and that might be the case for everybody else here today. Skinner's coming to pit road. It looked like he was having a really low exit to the corner. I was wondering why he was down so far, and that's because he was coming into the pits. So yeah, that lead didn't change at all. It's still about 9 to 9.5 seconds on Dale Jr. That's what Biffle wanted to see as they pitted at about the same time. Ooh, that was a big loose moment there. Also just have to see if we stay caution-free the rest of the race. We have less than half the race to go at this point. 138 laps still remain. Junior's still closing that gap on Biffle. Only had 2 cautions in the air. It's 499 at Talladega in the last race. Only had 1 in the Food City 500 in the race before that at Bristol. In Michigan, I believe we had 8 of them. Texas, we had quite a few too. I think we had 6 or 7. So kind of a sloppier start to the year outside of the Daytona 500, and then it's kind of calmed out over the last couple races. Be interesting to see how Watkins Glen goes tomorrow for the 8th race of the season. 7-turn road course. Yeah, it took the NASCAR season so long to get going during that coronavirus break that they had those couple months off. But yeah, once they got back into it, I mean, they raced 32 races in, what, like 5.5 months? I mean, they're absolutely hauling. And that includes an all-star race, too. So if you want to consider that, it's like 33 cup races in about 5 to 5.5 months. Oh, man! Big moment in turns 3 and 4 there for Biffle. Tony Stewart has jumped up to 2nd place. Again, he has been looking quicker and quicker as this race carries on, and now he's sitting in 2nd. Maybe just waiting for a caution to kind of lock things back up together again. I don't think he's one of those drivers on the strategy to try and make it on one more stop. Again, you basically got to be committed if you're Greg Biffle to trying to make it on a 2-stop race, and you have to short pit that final stop, knowing that a lot of these guys can make it on just one more pit stop. Well, not a lot of them. Probably got about 7 or 8 cars that can make it on one stop. So if you're going to want your best shot to win this race, you might have to short pit that final pit stop. Run this one out as long as you can. And then cut the last portion in half to try to keep those fresh tires as long as you can. You know what? Now I'm thinking about it in my head. I think you're going to see a crazy strategy from us the rest of the way. Assuming we don't get another caution. And things can just kind of play out cleanly. So AI don't wreck a lot in this game. So I'm going to bank on the fact that if we stay caution free, we might just take fuel only under the next stop. Try to conserve our as long as our tires aren't too worn out at the end of this run. Go fuel only, run about 15 to 20 laps more if we can, and then just come to pit road, take fresh tires, and we have fresh tires the rest of the way. It would save time on pit road. And then we just run as hard as we can for about the last 40 to 50 laps. And try to run those guys down that are trying to save fuel and make it on one stop. If they're going off strategy, we're probably going to have to go off strategy to try and keep up with them. Otherwise, we're going to have a gigantic lead. I mean, we have to have like a lap and a quarter, lap and a half lead on those guys for them to not even cycle back out in front if we take 2 more 4-tire stops versus them only taking 1. Just have to wait and see how the race plays out. Only predicted up to a certain point. Tell you what, though, these races have been flying by with the quick race pace. I think it only took 2 hours and 14 minutes for Bristol. Only 1 caution. Talladega only had 2. It took barely over 2.5 hours. This race only being a 400-miler at Vegas with only the 1 caution up to this point. And we're just flying through this. We even started this race only about an hour 40 minutes ago. Just over 110 laps left. Get about 2 laps in a minute or so here. So yeah, this race is going to be over in the next 40 to 50 minutes roughly. The pace these guys are running. Biffle right back out to a 9.5-second lead on Stewart. Man, he really drove it off into turns 1 and 2. There is some grip on the apron with this game at most tracks, especially the flat race tracks. You can almost run the apron in the corners on every flat track on this game. Aprons are very forgiving. Obviously, it slows you down quite a bit if you're on a more banked racetrack, but accidental contact between Steve Park, Greg Biffle there. Biffle slides up right in front of him. Brett Bodine just up ahead. Indicates that he is a rival, but again, you have to have 60 or less for him to actually purposely make contact with you. We don't have to worry about him there. A-okay. He's the only rival we have. So him not being that upset is really nice. It's made for a calm race today. Unlike what we saw with Christian Fittipaldi and us at Talladega. Luckily, we were able to share draft Fittipaldi late in that race to kind of knock that down. I think it was at like an 80-something, so. Had him door check us a couple times. We were 3 wide the one time on lap 3, and he slammed me and Brett Bodine in the wall, and that's why you see Brett Bodine as angry as he is. It wasn't even my fault, but nature of the game. Part of what people love about the game. Even stuff like that. I think it's so much more difficult. Ricky Craven was off to a really good start here today, and he is really faded. He's about to go a lap down. But then again, Craven lost a lot of track position, staying out those extra 5 to 6 laps that everybody else didn't. He's on that one-stop strategy, but he's about to go a lap down here. Try to hold on as long as he can. If we're going to get to his inside. Well, he had it. Got really loose. Just able to stay underneath him still, though. And he clears him. Down underneath of Ward Burton down the front stretch. 11-second lead for Biffle now. This is definitely the largest lead of the race. So it continues to grow. And he cut that corner way too much in the center. And the lift there, he wasn't going to make it to the exit without hitting the wall pretty hard. By the way, predictions video for this weekend will be out on the channel tomorrow. So I'll make my predictions for the Truck, Xfinity, and Cups. So that's why I was going to have it out tomorrow. And there's problems down the back straightaway. Mark Martin. It's like he's blowing an engine now. That is a rough go. Martin did not have a great race at Talladega. Went in second in points, fell all the way back to 7th, and that engine failure might just drop him outside of the top 10 in points, knowing it's still early in the season. That's a very, very tough break there. Jacob Westbrook, welcome to the stream. So that will be on the channel tomorrow. I've got something, I don't know when this said video will come out. Ooh, brush off the wall there. I don't know when this said video will come out exactly, because I've been working on it quite a bit today. I had some free time today. Was working on it I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning. I just couldn't sleep well last night, so I decided to start working on it, and I was working on it till like 1 o'clock today. So I've already put in about 7 hours of work on it. Just doing some research. That's really all I've done up to this point. It is a rankings video, but I'm putting a lot of research and effort into it. I don't know if it's going to be out, middle of next week, a couple weeks from now. I don't know how long it's going to take, but anytime I get like extra time where I don't have to worry about anything else like I did today, I will be working on it quite a bit, knowing that the off season's right around the corner. I'll definitely have a lot of time for it, so it'll be something worth watching. It'll be a little bit longer of a video, but it'll be something worth watching. Again, the next full race live stream will be tomorrow. Realistic broadcasts to go along with these full race live streams. So again, if you're not subscribed, watching currently, subscribe. Got this daily NASCAR content, but these full race live streams, realistic broadcasts, huge part of it. We do these on the daily. Tomorrow, Watkins Glen, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will have the pre-upload, I guess, if you would call it, on the channel, so it will start directly at 5 o'clock. No give or takes anymore. Put the set time in for it. And Watkins Glen race will be on NASCAR Thunder 2004 as well, for the next race of this season. First road course race on the game, so I'm definitely going to make sure I get some practice in before we get going there. I don't know what to expect. It was kind of a crapshoot when I tried it on the career mode, but granted, on the career mode, cars drive a little bit differently, especially when you're underfunded on a rookie season like I still am there. Only reason I didn't want to do a career mode on the channel of a playthrough with it, there's just so many out there already on NASCAR Thunder 04. I really didn't want to do it. Again, I don't really put much into the career mode episodes, so kind of left it at that as well. 99 laps to go, this time by Las Vegas. 14-second lead for Greg Biffle. Trying to go for 4 wins in a row, something that has only been done a couple times in NASCAR history, and the rookie is trying to get it done. The only driver to win multiple races this season. It's only the 7th race. Right front got really a little worn there in the middle of the corner, and saw that big slide. What was the aftermath of it? Biffle hasn't clinched the most laps led yet. It might be a little bit until he does it. But having as big of a lead as he does now, we'll see if he'll be able to clinch it before he pits this next time. That'll decide exactly when he'll pit and what kind of strategy exactly we're going to be using. Haven't got the word yet from the crew chief. Biffle has to go around the outside of Stanton Barrett. Luckily, it was through the tri-oval. He's easily got him cleared going into turn 1. Big slide underneath Bill Elliott in the 9. Then underneath Johnny Benson. Benson thought about going down for the block. Biffle actually didn't slide that much. Gets around him easily. It was going to be a lot more difficult than that. Biffle was maybe not as hard on the brakes, but he was definitely braking early. Start-finish line this time by. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles one final time in the race today. Jack Sprague giving plenty of room here. Biffle able to easily get around him. Trying to draft off Sterling Marlin down the back straightaway. We saw Marlin in the top 5 earlier in the race. Another one of those drivers that have kind of just faded as the race has climbed on. Dale Jr. is back up to second place, getting around Tony Stewart a couple laps ago. Tony was working his way in there for a little bit. And as he started to fade off over the course of the run, Dale Jr. was able to pick up the position. Skinner, McMurray, giving Biffle plenty of room on the bottom. A little contact with McMurray up the track. This is probably the best he's taken care of his tires all day, but knowing that there is a potential different tire strategy coming up, Biffle needs to make sure he's braking just a hair early. That time he kind of slid him a little too much. Oh, Burton, it was a combination of Biffle sliding up and Burton coming down. Definitely some contact. That's for certain. So Biffle going to try to short pit. He's going to pit this time by. We'll start into that strategy. He should lead this next lap as well, even though he's coming to pit road. Can't make it on fuel to the end of the race with one more stop. He's going to short pit. It'll be a fuel-only pit stop. Just going to put a half a tank in. So that way next time he comes to... Oh, he's got to make sure he doesn't spin out here. Gets it down. Oh, almost caught for speeding too, just trying to keep the car stable. Getting back into the gas. So no tires, fuel only under the stop. Shouldn't make any mistakes here. So just a half a tank, 1 can of fuel only, 10-second stop there for the 16 team. Still going to lose the lead, obviously, but on these older tires, still. So he's outside the pit window trying to shorten the stop up. Not going to take any tires currently. And now probably setting to pit right around 50 laps to go or so. Still the fastest car on the track. So now he's one pit stop to the end. He's only 11 seconds off the lead. So that's the interval he's got to gain the rest of this race. A lot of these guys have to pit 2 times yet. Biffle's got to still pit 1. And we know the top 7 or 8 drivers should be able to make it on one more stop as well. Not the top 7 or 8 from right now, I should say, but 7 or 8 drivers that were able to take that last run just a tad bit longer. Sliding in front of Rusty Wallace, but now he doesn't really have to save the tires, but still want to be able to make it to the end of the run. About the end of this tire stint, we don't know exactly how far we can go. It's not like NASCAR Heat 5 where you have an indicator of, you know, the percentage of tire where you have left approximately. Like with this, it's all guesstimation. It'll let you know when it gets really, really worn out, but at that point, you're basically on your own. Viewer discretion as far as where you want to, when exactly you want to pit. Again, we know Biffle can go 64 laps on a full fuel run. He wants to make it till right around 50 to go if he can before he has to pit. Might just end up pitting with the rest of the leaders, to be completely honest. He knows he's definitely got to be within that 64 lap window to make it to the end. All the way downstairs to try and get by Elliott Sadler. Another big slide. More treacherous racetrack. I don't think you're going to see me take this kind of a strategy. Vegas is a little bit more forgiving. Ryan Newman in the 12. We know he's on that one pit stop strategy to the end from here. Biffle trying to get around him to the inside. That is the points leader, by the way. Slides around him and David Green off of turn 4. Biffle hasn't clinched the most laps led yet as well. Not sure who exactly is leading right now as well. That could be playing into effect of it. Biffle has led a lot of laps today, but just hasn't clinched the most laps led. He's led the most up to this point as he slides in front of Harvick through 3 and 4. Barely had him cleared. That'll move him up to 6th. Right underneath the Fittipaldi, another lap car. 3 wide. Underneath a couple lap cars. Terry Labonte has not had a great start to this season. 2-time Winston Cup champ. There's a little bit of contact there through 3 and 4 underneath Kenseth now down the front stretch. Might have loosened Kenseth up just enough. 6.5 off the race leaders. Jeff Gordon in 4th. Not for much longer. Biffle's coming again. Why is Biffle, despite taking fuel only on that last stop, still running these guys down? It's because everybody still on the same equal tires. Although Biffle loses grip like that from time to time. Not always that drastically, but he's got a good long run speed car. It's just a little more unstable. He loses fast. It's definitely not tight. It is on the looser side on the long run. Looking to the outside off of turn 4. What a run to get around Gordon there. My goodness. Tony Stewart, Dale Jr. within a second of each other for the lead still. Biffle trying to work his way through the field. Jimmy Johnson, next driver ahead of him, not too far ahead of him either. That would be for third. Johnson started mid-pack just outside the top 20. Having a good solid run late. Biffle to Johnson's inside. Should get around him for third here. Jimmy gave him plenty of room. He knows Biffle's got a faster car. And Jimmy's one of those guys trying to do that one-stop strategy as well. So Biffle gets around him. Just under 3 seconds back now. Dale Jr., Tony Stewart, who are still on the racetrack. So some guys are short pitting here. Well, not short pitting. I guess it's the end of their window. Tony Stewart, Dale Jr. coming onto pit road right there. They cannot make it on field to the end of the race. We haven't seen anybody go longer than 71 laps all day, and we have about 70 to go right now. 71. Actually, this might be the window for those guys to make it. It'll be interesting to see. And if they make it on 3 stops, that would be insane. Not sure how they were able to make it that far. Biffle's back in the lead for now. It's going to take until at least 60 to go, if not a little longer. He's going to lose so much time to these guys the longer and longer he stays out. He wants to be safe to make it within that pit window. He's going to have a big lead for now. Maybe he can clinch the most laps led while he's out on the track currently as well. Just get that locked up and then just try to run hard to the end of the race from there. It'll be lap 200 this time by. Can't have any mistakes on the money stop either. We get another caution. We might see guys pit again, obviously, but we haven't had a caution since lap 64. It's the only caution we've had today. Gordon's still on the track, 7 seconds off the lead. I did not want to turn going into turn 1 that time. Kevin Grubb's on the inside going into turn 3. Biffle couldn't get back to the bottom. Grubb on those fresh tires and coming out of the pits. See Biffle get a lot looser whenever he has to take that higher line going into a corner. Now Kevin Grubb's kind of blocking him off, holding him up. Grubb one of the back marker cars, so I don't even know if the fresh tires are going to do enough for him to stay in front of Biffle. Get under him off of turn 2. Should be able to get him into turn 3, and he does. All the way to the apron. We'll slide in the center of the corner. We'll slide on exit. Stays in front of Grubb at least. Not going to allow Kevin to cross it back over. You see Ricky Rudd, Kevin Harvick's. Actually, Harvick's still on the track, but Rudd was on pit road as Biffle crossed the start-finish line that time. Kevin Harvick, let me tell you, saw Talladega, he stretched it out to about 4 laps to go before he pitted. Daytona 500, he won it on pit strategy. He was the only driver to make it on one not one stop, but one less stop compared to everybody else. Harvick's on pit road now. It just seems like he's got a bigger fuel tank on this season. I mean, I don't know how he's able to stretch it as far as he does every single race. It definitely panned out for him at Talladega, gave him a top 10 finish, and obviously panned out in the Daytona 500 and won him the race. He's only about 14 seconds or so ahead of Biffle, who finished second. So obviously if he didn't make it, he would have been nowhere close to the front at the end of the race. So there we go. So Biffle that time by just clinched the most laps led. So that'll give him an extra 5 bonus points. We were wondering if he was getting close. And he was. So he got it that time. He can make it on fuel by pitting now. He's made it 64 laps in a run. Really the first 3 runs. First 2 rather, that he has made it up to this point. He took fuel only last time. Obviously he pitted after about 50 laps. But he's got a 1-lap lead here. And boy, if a caution came out now, that would be huge. Give him the lead right back. And everybody would have to take the wave around and stay out. But he's not going to stay out much longer. He's got too much to lose right now running on these older tires compared to everybody else. You see how loose he is. He's going to wait till 60 laps to go and then he'll pit. '61. So not this time by, but the following time by, Greg Biffle will hit pit road for the final time today. It'll be a 4-tire stop. Number Jr. had about a 2-second lead when he came to pit road. Biffle's got to make sure he doesn't spin the car coming to pit road again here. Jeff Green in the 1 starting to close in on him a little bit. We'll have 59 laps left when he comes out of the pits. Easily going to make it on fuel to the end. All these drivers can make it, but not all of them. Oh man, Biffle got really loose going into turn 3. Got to keep the car on the bottom of the track. He is coming to pit road. Big slide. That was probably as easy as he's made it to pit road today, and he was on the oldest tires he's been on all day. So 4 fresh tires, full tank of fuel, whatever damage there is will be repaired. Final pit stop of the day for Greg Biffle. Another clean pit stop for the 16 team here today. Coming out in 3rd place. Not on the track and up to speed yet, so he'll probably still lose some spots. He's on that access road. Now coming up onto the racetrack, still trying to get up to speed. There goes Kenseth, so that will drop Biffle back to 5th. Inside of the 16. Kenseth couldn't get down to the bottom there, so Biffle will be in 4th place when we get up to speed back to the line. With less than 60 to go, he's about 7 seconds off the lead. Big block there down the front stretch, but he can go now. He's plenty good on fuel and tires to the end of the race. Now trying to make up that 7-second gap. Stayed out a little longer, clinched the most laps led, a little different strategy there. And does everybody else have enough fuel to make it to the end? That is ahead of him. No, Jimmy Johnson can make it to the end. And he's in 3rd. But he's not that far ahead of Biffle. Biffle should run him down. He's got about 10 lap fresher tires. That will make a difference for about the first 10 laps. Then the tires will even out after that. So this is where Biffle has to gain the most ground here. Gets by Johnson. Tony Stewart and Dale Jr. are going to be very close on fuel to the end.
We got to pick up 7 seconds.
See Johnson, lower line. That actually gave Biffle a little draft down the back straightaway. Not really a lot of time to draft at this track, though. But Biffle drives it. Look at that. He's all the way on the apron. His fresh tires paying off handy. Able to stick it down there. Still side by side for third as Johnson tries to hang in on the outside. Biffle is now clear. And up to third. Trying to go for 4 wins in a row. I can't recall a rookie ever winning that many races in a row. There are very few drivers that have done it in NASCAR history. So we'll see if Biffle can add another name to that list. Slowly closing in there. Junior's only got about a half-second lead on Tony Stewart, but they're not quite battling with each other yet. If they do get to that point at some point in time, that will allow Biffle to maybe close the gap even quicker. He's got plenty of time to get there. Five and a half off. Tony Stewart actually gained a tenth of a second on Dale Jr. that last lap. I'm not sure if lap traffic played into effect or maybe Tony Stewart's getting faster. It seems like Stewart's had a little bit better. Oh, man! Some contact up ahead. Couple lap cars. Mike Skinner, Kenny Wallace. That almost brought out a caution. Something happened there. At least it allowed Biffle to zoom on by down the backstretch a little bit quicker. Maybe not what Biffle wanted to see. In a year where you have to race back to the caution flag, last thing he wants is a caution right in front of him. He has to avoid it at full speed. Biffle seems to be about 0.2 of a second a lap faster at the line that last time. We have 50 laps to go, so again, there is plenty of time to run these guys down, even if they can make it on field to the end. And will they have to save it all to make it to the end? 4.7, Junior. Pace is falling off for him a little bit. Again, Stewart's only about 0.4 back. Biffle gained even more that last lap. Biffle has had a lot of open room to run as well. That interval has been coming down a little quicker the last couple laps. Now you see more lap traffic about to come into the picture. Biffle's hoping this plays green to the end because that's going to be his easiest and best way to win this race. He's got the capability. You know Junior and Stewart are going to put up a fight when it gets up there. Neither one of those two have won a race this year. I'm sure they would like to tick that off the off the box there and go into the next week with some momentum. If we're going to go all the way down to the apron. Less than 4 seconds back now. That was a big dive underneath. Oh man. He slid up right in front of Kevin Grubb. Grubb had to get on the brakes or he was going to run right into the back of Biffle. Meanwhile, Biffle almost slid into the side of Kevin LePage. A really deep dive into turn one. I mean, he is trying to hustle around these guys. All these tires are still somewhat fresh. Might make the passing just a little bit more easier for him. And Burton left a lot of bottom open, but so did David Green. Burton kind of took that middle lane and was still able to get on by Biffle all the way to the bottom. That took him 3 wide there. Tony Stewart now just 0.2 of a second back from Dale Jr. Just kind of closing that gap. Stewart has led laps today. He's already gotten those 5 bonus points. Again, just trying to go for the win. First of the year, which has been an alright start to the season for Tony Stewart. I'm sure he would have liked a little bit better. Stewart gained another 10th that last lap. He is now only about 1/10 of a second off from Dale Jr. I mean, he's got to be right behind him. Those are the top 2 up here. There is no lap traffic, and Tony Stewart, I think, has just taken the race lead. And he did. So Tony Stewart with a nice clean pass. 41 to go. He has taken the lead again. That has allowed Biffle to close the gap a little more here these last couple laps, but Tony made it about as quick of work as he could to get around Junior. Now we'll see if that interval might get a little bit smaller still, but maybe not as rapidly now that Stewart's in the lead and seems to be a little faster than Dale Jr. late in the race. I mean, he's gapping Junior pretty quickly. 1.6 back now for Biffle. And barely over a second back of Dale Jr. for second. And Jr. didn't really put up much of a fight at all on Tony Stewart. Biffle still hit the bottom despite getting really loose on entry to turn 3. Jr. didn't even stick the bottom that time. Biffle's running him down. Wash up the racetrack. Junior's still, I mean, he's entering the corner a lot wider. And that's just not working out for him at all. Again, there he is. Right on the white line. Junior was not. Junior might try to go down and block. They almost made contact. Boy, he really tried, but Biffle was already on the left rear. They're side by side for second. In turns 1 and 2, Biffle is all clear off of turn 2. Eyes set now on Tony Stewart for the race lead. .37 laps to go at the line. Biffle is closing in intensely. Wider entry into turn 1. Maybe it wasn't the greatest for Biffle. Tony almost got the wall off of turn 2. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where Jeff Burton's at in the running order right now. I think he's been outside the top 10 all day, though. Sadia, welcome to the stream. Oh, man. Biffle trying to use the lap car. Fittipaldi has a pick to get by Tony Stewart. It worked perfectly. Stewart had to check up behind Fittipaldi. He's still stuck behind him. Biffle to the lead off of turn 2. Not as quick of work as he could have made there. Bit of a slide going into turn 3. Stewart finally gets to the inside of Fittipaldi. And Greg Biffle. Jumped up. Fastest car on the track, finally back in the lead again. Third different time today he has led laps. At Las Vegas there, Sadia. .1 ahead of Tony Stewart now all of a sudden. A little bit of lap traffic here. Ooh, contact. Steve Park. All the way to the inside. 32 laps to go. We're really hoping it stays caution-free to the end. Looks like we've had 3 drivers DNF due to engine failures today. 1 caution that came out back at lap 64. The only yellow so far. Biffle's just going to widen this gap out more and more, but if we get a caution and give these guys more of a chance to try to hit pit road, that could set up for perhaps a crazy late race restart. And again, Biffle trying to go for 4 wins in a row. Not sure exactly where Ryan Newman's at in the running order right now. The interesting decision, too, Biffle would have to pit from the lead. He's not going to know what the strategy is going to be behind him. He's almost put in that box, especially with still this many laps left if a caution came out. He'd have to pit. Because if he stays out, everybody else is going to likely come to pit road behind him. And he might be out of luck by that point, trying to hold on and win it. This many laps left on old tires. Again, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Watkins Glen for NASCAR Thunder 2004. Full race live stream with a realistic broadcast as usual. Make sure we get that finished and out of the way before the truck race comes on tomorrow night. Seems like the entire second half of this race, Biffle's just been a lot smoother. Robbie Gordon pulled a block. And he got right in front of Biffle. Biffle got hooked on his back bumper. Plenty of fuel to make it to the end. Should be about 4 to 5 laps to the good, but that was definitely not clean to get around Robbie Gordon there. He's been a tough out all day today. Has been most of the season when Biffle's been trying to pass him, whether it's for position or to put him a lap down. Pretty much been the driver that has, been the hardest to pass all year. Biffle was 132 points out. Mathematically, he still has a shot to take the points lead for the first time this season today. I just don't think that that's going to happen unless Ryan Newman is having a pretty bad day. Unaware of really how Watkins Glen's going to go. He's going to want to get as close as he can. I'm a pretty good road course racer with the NASCAR Heat games, but I mean, it'll be my first attempt at a full race with the NASCAR Thunder 2004 on a road course there, so that might be a lot tougher. I think I'm still going to keep the manual or the automatic transmission. I've been using it with this game. I don't usually use automatic. I usually go manual, but I've tried manual with this. It just doesn't seem like it shifts exactly when you want to. It's kind of delayed. Unless you press it earlier than what you want, then it would actually work. So it's like getting off into turn 1. Welcome back, Tim. Yeah, I bought this PS4 off of Amazon, actually. Same thing with the NASCAR Thunder 2004, because I do have some PS2 games downstairs. I guarantee I don't have this one. By downstairs, I mean in my basement. But yeah, I definitely don't have this one. I don't know if I own this game, but I'm pretty sure I remembered playing it before. I figured, again, I'd kind of start here with these EA Sports playthrough series and then just kind of progress my way up from 05 to 06, so on. No, you can't play this game on PS4. No, it's not compatible. You can play PS2 games on a PS3. My PS3's been broken for a while, so I just figured I'd get a PS2. It was a little bit cheaper than the PS3 when I was getting it off Amazon, so that's why I went PS2. The graphics not as great, but I'll tell you what, it looks a lot more clear on YouTube than what it does on my TV screen. Like, whenever I glance over at my laptop, it just looks so much brighter and clearer there. But it's a little delayed compared to what I'm actually racing. Otherwise, I just look at my laptop. But that's not the wisest decision with the delay timing. It's not that delayed, but it's a couple seconds delayed. That makes a difference when you're in a racing game. Most games. Oh, Biffle! And the wall off of turn 2. Little scuff. 18 laps to go now. Kenny Walsh trying to make a pass on Jeff Burton. Biffle to the inside of both of them off in turn 4. I mean, Biffle's just driven his car perfectly this final run. Just seems like it's got a lot of grip. There was no adjustment changes under that last stop, but it just feels like the car's just not sliding around as much as it was earlier. Especially those first 2 runs he had in the race today. Yeah, I had an MX versus ATV game on my PSP, but I didn't really. The only games I had for PS2 growing up was either Madden games or NASCAR games. Those were like the only ones. Once I got my PSP, that's when I started branching out to like 2K and MLB The Show. I always played sports games when I was younger. Very rarely I'd play something outside of that. WWE, SmackDown versus Raw, I played a lot of that growing up too. But those were kind of the games I played and still played up until pretty much when I started the channel. Then I basically have only had time to, play games when I'm streaming or making a video for the channel. It's the only time I'm really playing games. Been slowly working on a career mode, but I barely get any time to really do it for myself here. And I just enjoy the game for what it is without using the channel. But I mean, I'm on my rookie season. I'm 33 races in. But I've had this game, I think I bought this like 3 months ago. So in 3 months, I've only done 33 races. I'm only doing 10% races too, so kind of goes to show, I might be able to squeeze in like an hour here or so. But if I can't get an hour in, I don't bother turning it on. If we're not going to put Ricky Rudd a lap down. Rudd's a little bit further in the running order here too. And a lot of clean air now in front of Biffle once again. 13 laps to go at the line. Just over a 15.5-second lead. Junior is back out in front of Tony Stewart, by the way. Got in front of him at least a few laps ago. R6, welcome to the stream. Seem to come in like right towards the end of the streams a lot, I've noticed lately. Always coming in like clutch scenarios. This one's kind of a blowout since Biffle's taken the lead with right around 30 laps to go, and he took the lead away from Tony Stewart. Stewart back to third. We're just trying to ride it out. Hope that we don't get a caution. If we did, it'd be a single file restart. There wouldn't be any lap cars to the inside because we'd have less than 10 laps to go when we go green. A little more lap traffic, not too much further ahead. If I ever do get more time to myself, if I end up like having YouTube as a full-time thing or something, or I'm, broadcasting outside of, YouTube, I'd love to go back and play all the old games I played as a kid. And like my favorite Madden game was probably Madden 06 growing up. I had that one for the longest time. I did so much on that. There's so much to do on that game. Kind of like with this game with NASCAR Thunder. There's just so much like that there isn't to offer in today's games with the offline stuff. I didn't really get into 2K till a little bit later. MLB The Show, I think 2005 was the first game I had. I first had my PSP. But I never played any of the old ones on a console. Rusty Wallace trying to block, trying to hold on to his lap. Another driver on the lead lap here. Biffle went high off of turn 2, got a good run. Able to clear him down the backstretch. Michael Waltrip up ahead as well as on the lead lap. Biffle slides off of turn 4, kind of using that outer lane. As long as he's not entering the corner high, seems to be all right. Problem is, he couldn't clear not Nemechek, but the 0-1 of Nadu on the bottom. He still entered in all right. Had to let Nadu go. Jerry Nadu trying to block Biffle all the way to the inside. 3 wide going into turn 3. A lot of give there. 7 laps to go. This time by for the 16, who is the race leader. Almost got the wall off of turn 4. Big run to the back of Michael Waltrip now, trying to put him a lap down. Waltrip likely inside the top 10. And he will go a lap down late. Kevin Harvick, the next lead lap car. not going to matter that they finish a lap down unless we get a caution. It would ruin their chances to win the race, of course. Oh, Harvick just checked Biffle down the straightaway. I don't know what he was thinking there. Ran right into him. Wasn't even a rival either. I don't know what that was, but that was a situation that Biffle did not need to see as the leader late in the going. See the smoke, the aftermath of all that. 5 laps to go now at Vegas. Jimmy Johnson, the next lead lap car, just up ahead. And now Christian Fittipaldi's blocking. Biffle goes high. He's not going to be able to clear him into turn 3, I don't think. Nope, not even going to attempt it. Johnson ran way up high. Oh, man, Biffle squeezing up the middle, 3 wide. Contact with Jimmy. As he goes a lap down, Bobby Labonte's just snuck into the top 5, back up to 5th. Haven't really seen him up towards the front a lot today. Looks like it might be another nice, solid max points day for Greg Biffle. 3 laps away now from the checkered flag. Maybe we get a caution now. They just got to race back to the caution flag and the race is over. Biffle's got a huge lead, so pretty much as long as that accident isn't right in front of him, he should be fine. Can everybody else make it on fuel? Remember, Biffle's fine to the end. 2 laps to go now. So Biffle's good on fuel to the end of the race, but everybody else, on the other hand, we're not entirely sure. Slide going into turn 3. Ryan Newman likely on the lead lap. That's the points leader. Biffle definitely going to try to put him a lap down here. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go here at Vegas. Matt Kenseth. Bobby Labonte just got around him. A couple laps ago for 5th. Biffle going to let his teammate go, see if he can maybe run down Bobby Labonte. Off of turn 4, one final time. Greg Biffle will win at Vegas. 4 consecutive victories. Another max points day. Just 6 drivers finish on the lead lap. A dominant finish to the race. And pretty clean race car nonetheless as well.
Not very many caution laps in this one.
Well, that was good news to the guys who ran out front. More cautions.
Another look. Greg Biffle, victory lane. Just a great start to the season. It's a great dominant performance today. This is one of the more dominant victories Greg Biffle has had this season in this 4-race stretch in which he has won. Just awesome. Rival indicator coming down even further there on Brett Bodine. Really the only driver even remotely close to having to work with. Take a look at the finishing results for today's race. Greg Biffle leading 155 laps out of 267. Clinched the most laps led with about 60 or so laps to go. 12 lead changes in today's race. And just that one caution back at lap 64. 2 hours, 24 minutes total time on the race today as well. So Biffle gets the win. Dale Jr. finishes in second. Tony Stewart third. Jeff Gordon fourth. And Bobby Labonte rounds out the top 5, followed by Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, and Michael Waltrip round out the top 10 here today. We'll take a look at who might have all DNF'd in today's race. I believe we only had a few of them. Dale Jarrett, Jeremy Mayfield, Mark Martin was the biggest blow of those. Remember, he was in the top 10 in the point standings. Was in 7th, so that's a tough break there. Jack Sprague DNF'd. Ricky Craven DNF'd. So did Ken Schrader. So we had a lot more guys there. What I was thinking DNF'd. Johnny Benson towards the end of the race. So, yeah, a lot more drivers than what I was originally thinking DNF'd. 7 drivers total failed to finish in this race. We'll take a look at the point standings before we get out of here. So one look at the point standings. Once this gets done loading, I forgot how long it takes for the old games to load. All right, there we go. So again, Watkins Glen tomorrow will be the next full race live stream, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for NASCAR Thunder 2004. So be ready for that one. First road course race of 4, I believe, on the season for our NASCAR Thunder 2004 season. So after 4 consecutive victories, Greg Biffle has now jumped up to second in the point standings. Ryan Newman has a 73-point lead. Pretty comfortable lead so far this year, but Biffle's been running a lot more consistently over the last stretch of races. Not sure how the first road course race is going to go. Again, I don't have much practice with this game on road courses, so I'm definitely going to have to practice up within an hour before tomorrow's race to get familiarized with myself. But you see, again, still close in the point standings, still early in the season. So, again, you're not going to really see things break up here for the next couple races, and then you'll really get to see who the top 10 are and who will have a shot at the championship going forward. Dale Jarrett took a big hit in points. He was in the top 10, DNF'd as well. Mark Martin came in 7th in points, and after that DNF, has dropped back to 18th. Just 2 races ago, he was 2nd. Back-to-back terrible runs, DNFs at Talladega. And then I had a brain fart there. And then here today at Las Vegas, that definitely hurt his chances going forward. But obviously, again, still early in the season. You never know what could happen going forward. So that is going to do it here for this one. Again, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Watkins Glen full race live stream realistic broadcast. So thanks everybody for watching here tonight. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We do these full race live streams with a realistic broadcast on the daily as I start my broadcasting career. So help me out going forward there. I appreciate it a ton. Hit the like button down below if you enjoyed the race, the commentary, the video in general, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of your night. I'm going to watch my Packers play now, and we'll be back